Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome everyone to the Changemaker Companies Summit, panel at the ACMS Summit. My name is Daniela Kramer. I'm part of the Changemaker Companies team, and I will welcome you today and to share the panel and the great speakers we have. Today we will talk about how smart business are increasing social impact by partnering with social innovators. And we have 4 amazing cases with amazing participants. One case comes from Africa, 2 cases from Europe, and 1 case from Latin America. And we have with us also Jeremy Keeley, who works a lot as a facilitator and moderator in our partnerships. And I will pass the mic to him. Enjoy.
Thank you, Danny, and welcome everybody. My role is simply just to draw out the questions for everybody else participating. The important people are the partnerships we're just about to meet. And I think we're going to have a set of questions first and then bring everybody together on the panel. But we're starting with our European partnership. Lisa Smits from Ignitia and Asa Sogström-Felt from IKEA. And I'd like you to ask the two of you to introduce yourselves, please, and just take a moment to introduce your organisations before we talk about your collaboration. So, Lisa, do you want to go first?
Sure, thank you for inviting me. So I'm Lisa Smits from Ignitia, and we do tropical weather forecasting for small-scale farmers. This happens in West Africa and nowadays also in Latin America. Today we have about 2 million farmers that are daily subscribing to our weather forecasts, so they know what kind of activities they will do on the farm, such as planting, hiring labor, inputs, harvesting and drying are typical examples of when it's very helpful to know the weather ahead of time.
Thanks, Lisa. And also, what about you? Would you like to introduce yourself and your organisation?
Sure, thank you. Great to be here. So I'm Åsa, and I'm leading IKEA Social Entrepreneurship, which is our own social enterprise to support the movement and social businesses around the world. And we do that by working with programs, business development, investments, and co-worker engagement. And focus on impact when it comes to the growing inequalities, to mitigate that. And with Lisa, of course, the smallholder farmers are a very interesting group for us.
Yeah, thanks, Åsa. And I'm hoping I can get you both on the screen at the same time. Could you talk about the nature of the collaboration between you, and maybe even something about, you know, your global reach that you've started to talk about? Tell us about your collaboration.
Sure, I could start. So we were a part of an accelerator that IKEA SE launched that was called Della. And in this accelerator, we learned to know both an IKEA that was in collaboration together with Ashoka. And more than talking about strategy and how to move forward in terms of scaling the business, but also scaling the solution itself. We also had a 6-month implementation where we, together with IKEA, looked at how we could collaborate, which was, I think, maybe the best part of this. And that's how we met.
Yeah, great. Also, would you add anything to that?
Yeah, maybe the fact that this was when we just started this expanded type of investment in social entrepreneurs, where we saw that accelerators could be an interesting way for us to both support and get to know and funnel out interesting possible long-term partners for IKEA, both in the product or service dimension, but in this case, in the systems change dimension.
Right. Oh, great. And sort of, what was the main essence of your approach? I can hear that IKEA really helped Ignitia to accelerate. Is that right? But what was what would you say was the essence of your approach to collaboration? How did you go about it, the two of you?
Also, would you like to take it?
Of course, I can start. So, as Lisa shared, we had a partnership with Ashoka, and we wanted to go beyond just funding a globalizer. We wanted to really co-create something that brought value both on a systems change level, but also to the social entrepreneurs in their development and piloting opportunities, because we have seen that exiting sometimes with just, it's not a just, but a new strategy without testing and trying it, there is quite a big gap between having that ready and executing it. So we wanted to add a part where you could actually, together with our coworkers, pilot different new assumptions that you have made to really see, is this something that we can expand and grow on? So it was very hands-on in the second part, And that also made the accelerator a little bit longer. So we had the opportunity to get to know each other a little bit better and deeper.
Right. Oh, great. And what would you say were the major challenges in collaborating between the two of you? What and I believe you've done a survey as well, so you might want to just talk about the results of that survey. But what were the major challenges, or the biggest challenge? Say, let's go for that in collaborating.
So I think from the beginning, our plan was really to, after Della Accelerator, to also collaborate around the supply chain that IKEA has, where a lot of smallholder farmers are active. However, it turned out to be a longer journey than we thought. And because of that, we decided to intensify our relationship and instead went into a financing round where then IKEA participated.
Oh, okay. And the length of time it took, was that what was that about? Was it just more complex than you thought, or what was the?
Well, from our perspective, I mean, the program itself was almost a year. And like Lisa said, it was interesting to discuss. We are organized at IKEA in the business in different material dimensions. But this partnership is actually beneficial and cutting across a lot of different raw materials. So for us, actually, the way we ended up supporting Indonesia, I think is better for us if and when we want to contribute to systems change for smallholder farmers. And then, of course, since what Ignition needed at that point was equity, and of course, that's another type of partnership that and due diligence always takes a bit of a time, but I don't think we were slower or faster than any other normal due diligence. I don't know, Lisa, you know more about that.
No, I think it went pretty smoothly overall.
Okay, great. I might come back to the two of you, but let's hear from some of the other partnerships. And Joseph, I'm going to move to you. I don't know whether you're able to come up on my screen, but could you perhaps, you run an organisation called New Cafe, and I'd love for you to introduce yourself, but also, talk about New Cafe and how you support local farmers and your partnership as well. I'm afraid. Yeah, you need to unmute. Story of our life.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Jerome. And to our viewers and listeners, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity and the organizers of this event. My name is Joseph Nkandu. I am the founder and executive director of New Cafe. New Cafe is the National Union of Coffee Agribusinesses and Farm Enterprises. It is an association of coffee farmers in Uganda, where currently we have over 1.5 million smallholder coffee farmers whom we have organized in more than 200 farmer associations and cooperatives. Of course, I was born on the coffee farm and I grew up on the coffee farm, and I have worked nowhere else but with the coffee farmers. And I've come all the way to organize the coffee farmers because farmers,
Oh, I think we might have lost you, Joseph. Are you there? How about I come back to you? We might, hopefully we'll, you back?
Yeah, you hear me now properly?
We can hear you now. You said something about because farmers, you talked how you're organizing farmers because farmers, and then you got cut off. So go back.
Okay, because yeah, thank you very much. So I had to organize and mobilize coffee farmers because they were earning less than 5% of the retail value of coffee. And therefore, they were stuck in poverty. And therefore, we had to do much about it to ensure that they would make progress, for the future of their children. And therefore, this happened now at a time when I needed to collaborate with the international partners. And in this case, Cafe Riva, which is an Italian coffee company, we got in touch, and we lacked a lot of skills in terms of empowering these coffee farmers to be able to earn more from the coffee that they produced. And therefore, the role that Cafe Riva played was, first of all, to link me up to the Catholic University of Milan. And when we were linked up to the Catholic University of Milan, I was able to pursue a Master of Business Administration. And then I had to do my internship with Cafe Riva, where I was able to acquire the necessary skills in the profitable nodes of the coffee value chain, and which later on, after coming up with my business plan for the Master of Business Administration, then I came back home, and then we were able to collectively, as smallholder coffee farmers, invest in processing coffee, and which we've been able to empower the coffee farmers to increase their incomes by at least 250%. So it has been a long journey for us. We started by way of mobilizing these farmers, and then also advocating for enabling coffee policy, and which we were able to achieve. So we took a systems kind of approach to ensure that farmers get empowered and create more value for them, and then to look to the future of their children. So this is how we managed to collaborate with the Cafe Riva, first of all, and then this helped us also to link up with other coffee buyers from Europe, and then beyond Europe.
Wow. And are you still collaborating with Cafe Riva?
Oh yes, big time, and I have just finished another Zoom call with them. We are further going ahead in the way of co-creating, and we are introducing a new brand of coffee, from Uganda. We already had a brand on the Italian market, which we call Omukwano. In English, it is friendship.
Oh, we've lost you again. 1 minute. We'll give you a minute to come back.
Am I back now?
You're back now. Yeah, say that again. You said the new brand, and then we lost you a bit. So keep going from there again.
Very good. So we have now introduced a new brand, and which new brand, in addition to the one that we have had for 10 years now. So a new brand, is coming, and now that one is also going to create more value to the smallholder coffee farmers in Uganda, but also more value to the consumers of coffee in Italy, because the coffee that comes from us directly to the consumers in Italy, this is coffee which is carbon neutral coffee, call it eco-friendly coffee. This is traceable coffee from the farm to the cup, coffee with a story, coffee that creates impact at the smallholder coffee farmer level. And what we have experienced with Cafe Riva, actually the sky is the limit for us.
Yeah, brilliant. How wonderful. And just the collaboration between you sounds very strong. Were there any other major collaborations? Obviously you did something with the Catholic University in Milan, but were there any other major collaborations that are involved in your systems thinking here?
Oh yes, and these collaborations do not only end with our international collaboration, and of course, me being an Ashoka fellow, big time, I collaborate with Ashoka on at different levels. Then within the country, still we do co-create with other private sector, having learned, a lot from our collaboration with the Cafe River. So within the country, we are also co-creating with other private sector companies, and also with the universities here. This has also led us to creating an agribusiness incubator with the university. So I have been running actually 2 organizations at the same time, but now I've been able to have the agribusiness incubator, hiring a chief executive, and it is also moving on. The incubator is called Consortium for Enhancing the University's Responsiveness to Agribusiness Development.
Wow. So it's because you can just feel the various aspects of your collaboration reaching out, and
That's right.
The win-win. I can hear the win-win in that. So the farmer's earning 250% more than they used to earn, and the consumer is still getting a much better deal as well through the process. Fantastic. Thank you. I might come back to you, Joseph. I'm just going to keep going with the others and introduce them as well. Emily, how about yourself? Do you want to talk about yourself and about the organisation and about your partnership with Clesio? Is that right? Yeah. Hi, welcome.
Hi everyone. Thanks for inviting us to talk about this collaboration. So I'm Emily Schmidt. I'm one of the co-founders of Active Action, and our aim is to completely transform unemployment into an empowering life experience. Because as you may know, unemployment has a huge cost, and especially indirect cost on mental health. And it's also well known that unemployment destroys soft skills, which are the skills most needed in the today and tomorrow's job market. And also unemployment, unfortunately, especially in Europe, we see that it has also a big impact on social cohesion. So the idea is to think about how, as a society, we can use unemployment as an empowering life experience if we accompany it better. And so we want to create like a systemic change to use this time, as we may, a lot of us will have to experience unemployment because the job market is changing so much. So how do we use this time to create positive impact? And so we work with the major actor of the job market, but especially with companies, because the recruitment process is one of the pain points of the unemployed path. Let's say it's this way. Like, for example, like if a recruitment process is labeled as negative for the candidates, 88% of the people will lose self-confidence at this point. So for us, it was really important to work with company. And so we do work with Clesio, which is a big company in France. And we completely redesigned the HR process to be inclusive, so that whatever the reason you're unemployed, you can feel like you belong to somewhere. You will want to work somewhere, because the job description, for example, will be adapted, and you will not self-censor yourself. But it can also be, we work from the recruitment to the onboarding, the management, and the offboarding, so that everyone can feel that they can be part of something, and the society or the company. And so this is how we worked with Clesio.
Oh, brilliant. And so I hear that you're redesigning their HR processes to empower, basically. That's what you're saying, isn't it? To build self-confidence. But what is there any other aspect of your relationship with them? What are the other elements of your collaboration with them? Is it beyond that, or is that kind of the essence of it.
Yeah, it's the essence of the collaboration to really co-create HR processes that will fit their value and also the need of society, and how you can absorb the innovation through the company, and how you make people that are already in the company be part of this change.
Yeah, great. So you can get to them as well. And what would you say would be the what's in it? I mean, what's in it for organisations collaborating with social enterprises? Then, because in general, and what would you what did you learn from it for the benefit of the organisation?
What we learn from it is that it has a really good impact on internal performances, because like to have a big project like this and to involve people and employee inside, it makes employee develop their own soft skills and their own ability to collaborate. And we know it's like decisive for tomorrow. For company for tomorrow, because we work as a collaboration. It's not like a B2B relationship. Of course, Active Action is paid for the work we do, but it's not like a client relationship. It's more like we collaborate because we want a better impact, and also because that has it also creates inside the company a sense of belonging, because then the company has coherence between the value and what is done inside. And people told us that by redesigning the HR process, for example, and making it empowering, the HR team was also feeling more sense in their job. So that has a good impact on, let's say, internal performances. But I think it's also source of innovation. For tomorrow. Maybe, for example, if you think about all about the environment, company that was taking this subject 20 years ago with a social innovator, they are already in the field. They already are acculturated to this. So the thing that if big companies collaborate more with a social innovator, they will also be, ahead of their time and already ready to tackle the next challenges. So it's kind of also research department to collaborate with social innovator, I think, and especially in the field that we are working, I think what is really interesting for a big company is also like a brand strategy or talent acquisition strategy, because according to our own survey, we found out that 96% of the people, if they have a negative recruitment process, they will talk about it around them. Nice. So, I mean, in the field that we are concerned, I think big companies have good interest to collaborate with social innovators on this subject of HR, but on inclusion also. Yeah, sorry.
Fantastic. So it's kind of there's a whole series of different things, advantages in what you're talking about, isn't there? Unemployment seen as a really positive thing, actually, rather than a negative thing, like life-enhancing experience, and then actually then going through a recruitment process which builds your self-confidence, or the nature process builds self-confidence. Really powerful. And are there other collaborations that you're involved in then as part of your ecosystem, for want of a better word?
Yeah, we do partner a lot with public institutions also, and social workers, and of course unemployed people. And the idea is to create a local collaboration on the ground, and I don't know, like a territorial site, so that you can. I think like unemployed people and social worker institution and company, most of the time they can have stereotypes on each other, and sometimes it's hard to collaborate. So we try to create an interest, and I mean everyone has interest to tackle this this subject, unemployment, because it has huge impact on society. So yeah, we create workshops and trainings to make everyone around the table and talk together and create solution to tackle unemployment breaks on really disadvantaged area.
Right. Oh, wow. So really focused then. And just one more question before I move on to some of the, how did you get in touch with Clesia? I mean, how did that work?
Yeah, this is thanks to Ashoka and the Changemaker company team, and yeah, that's the way it was done. The Changemaker team made us in contact with Clesia, and we had like workshop, and we talked a lot about the value and what we wanted to bring to the world and how we could have common interest. Yeah.
Right. Oh wow. Thanks, Emily. I might come back to you if we get time once we've spoken to Ricardo and Edison. Edison, Ricardo? What about you two? I hope I can see you on the screen. There you go. And perhaps we could start with you, Edison, and then we move to Ricardo, and we will translate from the Spanish as well. What do you want to describe yourself? Introduce yourself, Edison, and the work you do and the work you've done together, and then let's hear from Ricardo about FIDA and the work that they do and why you're working together. I guess the nature of your collaboration.
Yeah,
Edison.
perfect. Hi everyone. Hi Jeremy. It's nice to be here. I am Edison Núñez. I work in Boehringer Ingelheim in human resources, but also I am the leader of the Making More Health program in Latin America, in South America. And Making More Health is a program or a worldwide initiative that we have in Boehringer Ingelheim that looks and seeks to support social entrepreneurs in their different ways to help the communities in which Boehringer have presence. For example, in our case, in Colombia, we look for a Ashoka entrepreneur and Ashoka fellow that was working with the same purpose that we work. And it's to look to improve the life and well-being of humans and animals. For us, as a company, as a pharmaceutical company, we seek and we promote the different scenarios that we can retribute to the community and to the society. So we can find a well-being and a better purpose of life for the members of the society. Here in Colombia, we have a special focus on the quality of life of children, teenagers, and people with disabilities as we work with FEDER. Then I will bring that space to Ricardo. And we look to promote that in the end, the children with disabilities, the teenagers with disabilities have a purpose in their life, have a sense of community, has a happiness with their life, and also it helps them to start working in a better style of life in the society. So Ricardo, if you want to go on, Ricardo, si quieres avanzar y luego te voy traduciendo.
Welcome, Ricardo.
Hola, mi nombre es Ricardo Cobo Díaz, soy el director de la Fundación FEDAR. Lamento profundamente no hablaré en inglés. Quisiera decir muchas cosas, pero sé que no va a ser fácil. Este es un ejercicio que hemos construido junto a Boehringer y es un ejercicio que nos convoca a revisar cómo, Edison, me dices si debo parar para que tú traduzcas.
Okay, so he's just introducing himself. He's Ricardo Cobos. He's the founder of FEDER, and he's very glad to be here, but he's also a little bit sorry that he cannot speak in English, so we are going to be translating a little bit during the conversation. Dale, Ricardo.
Yo quisiera en este corto tiempo intentar contar un poco sobre cómo se relacionan esas dos fuerzas, esas dos miradas, esas dos voluntades de la empresa privada con el emprendimiento social, con las organizaciones sin ánimo de lucro. Y quisiera contarles que no es fácil intentar juntar esas dos fuerzas, fundamentalmente porque hay unas ideas preconcebidas que se generan grandes barreras y que es necesario visibilizarlas para poder acercarnos al otro. Esas grandes barreras tienen que ver con el imaginario que la sociedad que se construye alrededor de las entidades sin ánimo de lucro. Me dices, Edison.
Okay, so Ricardo is talking about the different preconceptions that the society has in terms of how a private company and an NGO can work together, because we have actually a lot of barriers working together, and we need to support how to make those barriers visible in order to secure the goals that we have in our co-creation and collaboration between FAIR and Beringer. So, Ricardo, go on.
Yeah, thank
Una
you.
de esas primeras grandes murallas está en sentir que las organizaciones privadas, la empresa privada no da puntadas sin dedal. Es un dicho muy común en nuestro territorio, pero que fundamentalmente habla de que el enfoque principal, la mirada principal de la empresa privada se centra sobre la capacidad de generar capital, la capacidad de generar riqueza. Y entonces allí las organizaciones se sienten que van a ser utilizadas de una u otra forma.
Okay, so Ricardo is telling us that one of the biggest barriers he faced working with a company such as Beringer, such a big company in the private sector, is that sometimes the private companies do not give a stitch without a timbal. That sometimes we think that the private companies are only looking for the capital, for the investment and the profitability, but no for the emotion and the social impact and the well-being of the society. So that was like a big preconception he has, and now he is going to tell us how he faced that.
Great.
Dale, Ricardo, cuéntanos cómo enfrentaste esta barrera.
Al tener una fuerte incidencia en políticas públicas nacional, al tener un diálogo permanente con los gobiernos, entonces nace la creencia de que tienen la palabra, son dueños de la palabra, son dueños de las buenas ideas. Y esto se junta con otro elemento muy fundamental que se desarrolla con mucha fuerza, y es que quien tiene la plata a la final es el que pone la última decisión, toma las decisiones.
Yeah, and finally, he complements that the private companies are the ones that believe that they are the owners of the good ideas, the good and great ideas. They are the ones that know how to implement those ideas, but also they are the ones that have the money to invest on that. So if you have the money, if you have the idea, and if you have the ways of doing, maybe you are going to have all the power to introduce that project and don't listen to the others.
Por otro lado, tenemos dos miradas totalmente distintas, y entonces se considera que quien tiene como objetivo prioritario la rentabilidad económica, no es posible juntarse con quien tiene como objetivo prioritario la rentabilidad social.
Okay, and in the other way, when we have these private sectors, it's very difficult to work with NGOs that have like a social objective, and they want to impact in a greater way their communities. I don't know, Jeremy, if we want to go to the other question, or we still can be talking about the preconception.
Well, I suppose in a way I'd be interested. They're quite powerful preconceptions you had, Ricardo, and I'm wondering how you found the when you got into the reality of partnering with Boehringer Ingelheim and with Making More Health. How did you find the reality of those things? That would probably be quite useful to know. Yeah.
Perfect. So, Ricardo, Jeremy nos pregunta que con estas preconcepciones que tenías, ¿cuál fue la realidad que te encontraste cuando comenzaste a trabajar con Boehringer y con Making More Health?
Sí, bueno, pero quería contar un poco de que igual mirada se tiene desde la empresa privada hacia las organizaciones. Y entonces la empresa privada cree que las organizaciones sin ánimo de lucro solamente promueven el asistencialismo, y al promover el asistencialismo no permiten la posibilidad de construir caminos de largo aliento. También se entiende que la terquedad de las organizaciones sin ánimo de lucro es uno de sus grandes patrimonios y entonces que la posibilidad de los diálogos ahí no se da. Esto para contarles que cuando dos actores se sientan a la mesa, Fedar y Beringer, y se sientan a plantearse una posible relación donde el otro entregue en la mesa todo su conocimiento y ese conocimiento sirva para construir dignidad a una población vulnerable, pues tiene que tener como principio la honestidad en la palabra, como principio la capacidad de poder expresar todos mis sentimientos, ponerlos en la mesa y poder desde allí comenzar a encontrar esos puntos claves donde es posible juntar esos dos actores.
Thank you.
So it's going to be a little bit difficult to summarize those ideas, but the first part, Ricardo mentioned that as we have preconceptions of the private companies, he also knows that a lot of people have preconceptions or ideas different from the NGOs. That maybe the NGO it's they don't listen too much. They have the solution in their hands. And sometimes it's very confusing when they start to talking in a very clear dialogue with the private sector. Yeah. And in the reality, when he started working with Beringer and we sit down in the same table looking each other through the eyes, he feels that one of the key ideas or the key complements that he have to make possible this co-creation project that we have, it's to have a constant dialogue and a very sincere one, that it's based on honesty and it's based on the truth, on how we are going to working together improve the well-being of the people with disabilities in Colombia.
Brilliant, thanks, Edison. And maybe I could ask you a question as well as part of this then. So how did you find it working from the Boehringer Ingelheim side? What did you get from it working with Ricardo's organization, FEDA? And what did you get from it?
Yeah, when we start working with FEDA, we believe that the only way to make such a project successful is to engage also our employees in the company. So before we start working with FEDA directly, we start like an internal campaign and engagement campaign with our employees, so they can bring all their knowledge to the table and start feeling the needs of FEDA and of the community that FEDA works with. So we start to do that. We establish a very sincere dialogue between each other, and also we put a lot of heart to do this, because we are not our core job of any of the more than 50 employees that are working in Colombia in this project is not our core job. We have different jobs in our day-to-day basis. So we need to put a little extra mile to bring back to the community, bring back to the society. And for example, in Colombia, we engage with more than 1,000 families in Popayán and in Putumayo, that are the locations in Colombia where FEDA have presence, but also to improve the life of the animals in the community, because in our project, we start thinking on the people with disabilities, but also how their relationship with their pets, with their cows, because also in FEDA, they have cows, they have a full poultry farm, of how they support their breakfast needs for the children. So it was a really nice experience to live in.
Yeah, great. And you personally, so you really enjoyed the experience, but what would you say it made a difference to you personally in your life, in your career? What did you learn from it, being a major participant in it?
I think that one of my biggest learnings, if I can talk personally, is to be very sensitive. Sometimes when we work in a private company, We have like that focused, goal-oriented mindset.
Yeah.
And we don't feel the other needs in terms of the day-to-day that they are living. So when I put my heart and when I put all my senses into this project, I think it changes my mentality in terms of how I'm going to address this need to secure the well-being of our society, but also to have a harmonious relationship with them, because we want to break those paradigms. We want to show Colombia and show the world how a private company such as Behringer can work hand by hand with a social entrepreneur and also bring back to the community.
Right, great. Yeah, thank you, Gerson. So kind of I get a sense of quite a lot of personal development there for you. It's great. Now I'm just aware that we are sort of quite short on time. The fantastic conversation so far. There is a question on the chat also for you about what other organisations the accelerator supports, and I wonder whether you want to ask that quickly. I know you've said some of it on the chat, but it might be nice for people to hear it. Yeah.
Sure, would be happy to. So with the DELA Accelerator, we work together with Ashoka. It's a global partnership, and we focus a lot on systems change. And you have to be an Ashoka Fellow in that program. But we also have other accelerators together with other partners like Acumen, Nest, New Ventures, and others, both regionally and locally. So have a look at our website to see an overview of all our accelerators. But basically, we are working with a theory of change, where we see that working with social entrepreneurs can be a way to find new ways of tackling the problem with the growing inequalities. So that's our big why. And then, of course, social entrepreneurs often work in a holistic way. So there is a lot about circular ways of doing business and being inclusive and so forth that we really benefit from.
Brilliant, thank you. And while you're sitting there, just as a member of a commercial organisation, I know you run the IKEA Social Enterprise. Personally, what have you gained from being involved in this type of work? You know, as a leader in an in a commercial organisation.
I would say being part of supporting social entrepreneurs, especially when you work with the systems change dimension, you really get to step back and take a more holistic approach and to find new ways of collaborating. And I think going forward, every leader needs to think about collaborating in new ways and leading in new ways. So I would say for me personally, it's a daily leadership development academy. And also I know that from our coworkers who have been invited and joined as coaches, they experience the same thing.
Yeah, so it's a really fantastic opportunity of giving people meaning, I guess, in the organisations they're working. I think we've got a couple of minutes left. I'm just going to rely on somebody just to give me that truth in the chat. And would somebody please tell me in the chat how much longer we've got? No, we haven't got any more time. I'm afraid I've taken too much time with you all, but that's incredibly interesting. Can I just say thank you so much, all of you, for being involved in this and for sharing your experience with us all. I wish you all the best, and all of the participants, all the people listening. I hope you got something out of it as well. So perhaps we could just, I don't know whether it's a virtual round of applause for our panel participants from the backup system, as it were. But all the best to you all. Thank you.